Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me for this segment, we have Kate Kaminski, Chief Operating Officer of Walton Global, to discuss the state of the U.S. housing market, including high growth markets, homebuilder strategy, and outlook for 2024. Kate, it is great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks for having me on, Jill.
You got it. Let's talk about the state of the U.S. housing market, including home building trends, interest rate impacts, and how builders are continuing to adjust to evolving conditions. What does it look like right now?
Well, right now, Jill, I would say that November, we're going to likely see numbers that are a little bit slower as everybody is really adjusting to what we're seeing in the market in terms of interest rates, mortgage rates, and really understanding where things are going to lie in terms of pricing. Most of the builders, though, their stock prices, if you looked at them today, they're up. We're seeing big investments that are going into the home builders, such as Berkshire Hathaway's continued an investment into the builders such as Horton and Lennar. And so I think we really have a bullish outlook for 2024 because as lower inflation, lower mortgage rates, can continue to decline, we think it's going to be bringing a lot of buyers back into the market.
Hey, what's driving the dramatic increase in new home sales versus existing home sales?
So most buyers are locked in at interest rates that are below 5% and even 4%. With that, we really have a lock-in effect whereby people that are in existing homes do not want to sell their home, even if they need to go into a move up, because of the fact that their monthly payment is going to increase so dramatically. So we're seeing new home sales, represent unprecedented levels in terms of current market share. And I think we're going to continue to see that for the foreseeable future. There are so many people that have, all equity in their home. They have no mortgage. And until we start to see a point where people's, rates are going to start to fluctuate, we're likely going to continue to see the new home builders gain market share.
Why do you think we're seeing increased capital investment in residential versus other real estate classes?
So I really think that that's because the new home builders, especially that we're dealing with here at Walton, are focused on affordability. There is a fundamental undersupply of new housing in this country, and the most important category is really that affordable sector. We're trying to find markets where we can get people into homes for sub 300, even sub 200 in certain markets. That's where we're targeting those land purchases because that's where you're really seeing that continued demand and growth. As the labor market cools, we saw the jobs report last week and some of that decline, which is good. That's helping, ease inflation a bit, and hopefully we'll see the Fed pull back a bit next year in terms of where interest rates are at. But in the meantime, we need to supply the shortage in this country of homes that are available.
Where are you seeing the highest regional growth markets?
We continue to see exceptional growth in Texas, in Florida, the Carolinas, really that southern smile of the U.S. Walton focuses our acquisitions really in the southern half of the U.S. And our markets right across the board continue to see a lot of demand. Those markets where you have a little bit more of your home buyers that are looking for vacation rentals or not your primary residence, we're seeing a little bit of slowing, but pretty well across the board, the southern smile of the United States continues to be robust.
Many publicly traded home builders are now utilizing a land-light strategy. Explain what that is and what is the strategy behind that?
So every builder that we're working with is using a land-light strategy, and this is really something that's been put into practice for at least the last decade, but the last 5 years, this has just been the norm across the board. Builders are looking to defer their ability to pay for land until really as far out in the home building cycle as possible. Walton is doing most of our structures today, land sale structures, whereby we are putting things in option contract with the builders. If you look at any of the financials of the builders on a quarterly basis, they continue to increase their supply of lots that are under option. So they're not paying for those today, but they will at some point in the future, typically in a phased takedown approach. They're looking to preserve their capital, use it for things like putting new community counts on the ground, buying down mortgage rates. And so this land light approach is really taking their capital, tying up land assets, and then focusing on, how they can pay for that in the future.
Let's talk about 2024 predictions for new home construction, new home sales, and the areas of demand that you think are really going to set the pace for 2024. And I also want to ask you something, part of the challenge of affordable housing is too, we know private equity is deeply involved in that market. And, they certainly have the capital and the power to acquire these kinds of homes. So what do you think that could look like in 2024 where you try and resolve that balance?
Yeah, I think on the private equity side, it's been pretty quiet in those markets as of late. The home builders, they have a lot of cash on hand, and as I noted, they're using that to do things like buying blocks of mortgages to buy down rates. I think that's going to continue to be a significant theme into 2024 until we see more significant easing on interest rates. Really, the buyers are looking to be 5% or even sub 5s. There's some builders that we're seeing, they've got buy down programs where they're getting buyers into mortgages for 4.9%. And I think that is where your typical consumer is comfortable. That's really where their mindset is, that mortgage rates should be what they can afford. And so I think that's going to continue to be a focal point in 2024.
And when you think about the pent up demand, how many homes are needed each year to be able to satisfy that and get people in homes?
So every year there's 2 million new homes that are needed. We have household formations that are happening annually, be it, people that are aging. We've got some of our largest demographics, the baby boomers are aging, and then you've got millennials, Gen Z, who are getting into household formation years, whether they're getting out of college, need a home, getting married, need a home. These are some of the largest sectors that are moving into their home buying years. And so with the resale market having less and less available inventory, we're just going to see that continued push to new home builders in terms of this demand that is just fundamental to the U.S. economy.
All right, Kate, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you.